Welcome back to COM 350. This is the key terms video for the unit on medium theory and the Toronto School. In this unit, we'll be looking at the foundations of the Toronto School and four key areas. Specifically, we'll be looking at bias of communication from the book by Harold Innis, the idea of medium theory, the concept of monopoly of knowledge, and the phrase, the medium is the message, and how that relates to medium theory. First, it's important to note that many of the ideas in medium studies were founded and developed by Harold Innis. His book, Bias of Communication, argues that each medium or form of media embodies a bias in terms of its organization, structure, and how it controls information. In other words, he believed that media and the way it is structured and the way we consume and interact with it determines how we see other people and society at a given moment. One of the key arguments or concepts that he develops in this work, Bias of Communication, is monopoly of knowledge. Here he says that monopolies of knowledge encourage centralization of power and who controls knowledge or has the power to define it. This idea was used to explain and show how a specific entity, or especially how different individuals or entities that controlled or produced media had influence in society. The argument is that at any given time, there's a particular monopoly of knowledge, a certain kind of bias toward a certain form of media, and how one should engage with that media, and the protocols for even the production of that media. Those rules, principles, and power influence how people engage in society, and also how reality is defined and controlled. So from these ideas, we get the term medium theory. Medium theory is a theoretical approach that focuses on the way in which media of communication differ from each other in the meaning they communicate and their different forms of messages. In other words, scholars of this approach focus on how the mediums themselves, or the media devices and the media that's produced, influence society. They see that meaning comes because of the technologies that are represented from that meaning creation, and the messages are influenced by the media by which they are created. A key phrase associated with medium theory comes from the work of Marshall McLuhan. The phrase, the medium is the message, is often used as a way to discuss how media form in the form of a specific message, whether it be print, visual, musical, or another form of media, determines the way in which that message is perceived. In other words, Marshall McLuhan argued that the media, or the form of the message, say a print book or a television show, communicates in a certain way. And because of the way people engage with that media, whether it's reading the book in the confines of the page or the television screen and how it's produced, that the form of that message influences how it is not just perceived, but decoded and understood. And so the medium, the technology that stands behind the message, is just as important to understand and engage with and unpack as the message itself. It's part of the process.